right. Hi guys. Welcome to this live YouTube. Today we are going to paint this sketch and I'm excited about this. I drew it for something else. I'll show you actually. So in my sketchbook, here's the sketch. And what I did was I scanned it and then cleaned up the sketch a little bit in Photoshop and then printed it on watercolor paper. That's this. It's 140-pound Arches cold press paper. And we're going to paint it today. But I actually drew this because I'm making a small coloring book that is going to be full of fairies. So I'll show you a couple other drawings. All of these should in some form make it into the coloring book inked and ready to color. And everyone that signs up for my email list before June 30th is going to get a free digital version of this. So the link will be down in the description box if you want a free mini. It's not mini, it's short. It'll only have maybe 10 pages in it, but you're getting them for free, so like, why complain? Anyway, so yeah, if you're interested in getting a fairy themed coloring book with the character that we're going to paint today in it, go check out the box below the video and sign up. And then also anyone that refers a friend will get an extra couple pages. So your friend will have to put your email as the referral when they sign up, but you'll see how to do that in the email sign up box. So anyway, so that's what we're doing. So this sketch is the original and this is the new printed version that I created for painting. And it's funny because I've been wanting to paint this, or I wanted to paint it as soon as I drew it, but now that it's been a week, because I was like, oh, I'll paint it live, that would be great. And it's hard to remember exactly like what I was thinking. Anyway, yesterday I prepped it. I drew this shadow, but today I don't like it, so I erased it. No more shadow. Okay, so we're gonna get started. I have just some like fairy pictures pulled up on Pinterest that have like some green and brown color schemes on them. And I suddenly just realized that I'd like to pull my hair back, but I don't have a hair tie, so I guess we'll stick it out. Okay, so I am gonna start with, this isn't a very big painting. I'm going to start with this number 12 round silver black velvet brush. And part of what I want to do with this painting is in the shadow, which I planned the shadow side to go along this side of the character. I put an arrow being like, here's the light coming down on him this way. And the shadow side will be on that side. In the shadow, I want to have not many details if possible, and then do more detailed in other sections. So I kind of tried to figure that out as I was prepping this yesterday. And I guess to clarify, I printed this out at the same sketch, but I printed it at 50% lightness, transparency, and then redrew on top with pencil the lines so that I could kind of modify things as I go. And so some of the lines you can see are lighter, like this area. I didn't redraw that. That's the print sketch, if you can see that. Just because I'm thinking that that will be in shadow and I won't need all the detail there. So we'll see how this goes. I normally would want to figure this out just on my own, not in front of everyone on a painting, but we're gonna try it. So I'm gonna start mixing some greens. I think we're just gonna go kind of like a traditional greenish brown, sort of earthy fairy colors, which I already have a lot of on my palette. Well, sort of. I was painting something else yesterday, and that's what this is. This is leftover from that. But so this brown was made with like a greenish and reddish mixed together, and then let's see what we got. Like, I'm liking what's here. These were basically primaries that I had, plus green, red, blue, yellow, plus green. Okay, so I guess since I have the shadow thing in my head, I'm just gonna start with that and go down the side of him, connecting the shadow shapes, and we'll see what we have. So I'm gonna do the shadow. Oh, sorry, there's a loud car outside. Like, what color do we want the shadow? Got this grayish. Okay, so I like this red, but I'm gonna make it a little bit more gray. So I'm just gonna mix a little green in with. Do we like that? I don't know. Let's see what we get with some blue. So I'm just experimenting. So I don't really have a color plan already, just a basic idea. Could be really bad. Color plan might save it or ruin it. I mean, the lack of one might ruin it. Okay, this is a good gray color. Okay, so I like that gray color. I'm also going to use the reddish. Ooh. Okay, so we're going to go reddish in the hair, and I'm just imagining what shape the shadow is making. As it falls this way. So that side of his face, under his nose, nose shadow, a little bit of and right here I'm going to soften it just a little. Soften it by just having water in my brush. So now I'm going to move into this little more greeny gray color to do the shadow on the ruffle thing. But I'm connecting them all together. So that whole side is in shadow. And as it comes around, it won't all be in shadow as it comes around. There's going to be light hitting it. there's a lot of loud cars out there today. Can you guys hear them? Maybe I'll shut the window. But we can't right now because this is wet and we want it to be like that. So I'm going to keep moving down. Getting the shadow on the sleeve. And if it's hitting this way, it's going to cast a little bit of a shadow down. Oh, and there's the cat. You try to think of everything when you set up a YouTube live, but I left the window open and the door open. Hi, Meg. You guys can't see her yet. I don't know if she'll... Sometimes she walks on my art. Here she comes. Hi, Maggie. As soon as we're at a good stopping spot with this wash, I'm going to get up and change some things. So it's all shadow on the underneath part of his pants. Trying to sit down right there. It's on an angle. And the rabbit will be in shadow too. Okay, shadow, erased the one that I didn't like. I'm just gonna have it be more beneath them. I feel like this guy should be casting a shadow onto the rabbit, but we might not add that in. We'll just say it's coming more straight down. Okay, that's the shadow. Now I'm gonna shut the window. Just a second. And I guess I'm gonna let Muggy stay here. Are you good right there? Okay, so while I was painting that, you can see I had my hand on the paper, and some of the pencil line got smudged. So I'm just going to erase that with a kneadable eraser. So now we want to add a little bit more color to this. Next step. But I do think it'd be fun to keep sticking with greens. So I'm thinking yeah, I did the hands. We'll do the face too. So I'm just going to use a little bit of that reddish. It's basically just alizarin crimson watered down. Oh, have to get out of the way of the camera. Come over here. You're still blocking the light. How about right here? There we go. She'll sit over there for now. Okay, so I'm gonna add some color to the face with this red, leaving some light on the highlight pages, on the highlight spots. So kind of, if the light is hitting over here, there would be like a highlight on his forehead, the side of his nose, and his cheek. I'm just going right into the shadow and definitely do the ear. So while I still have some red, I'm gonna go a little more saturated, so a little more paint on the brush, and add some red to the tip of his ear and his cheek like that while it's still wet. And soften that edge right there so it doesn't look like he has stripes on his face. Again, just softening with just water. I'm getting a little piece of paper towel to blot the nose a bit. That's better. Zoom in just a bit. I don't know how much that will help. I want you to be able to see the palette and the painting. Okay, so I like the face. Let's add a little bit more color to the hands. I'm just adding some of that darker red to the tips of the fingers and the knuckles, and then sort of spreading it around with water. Okay. So what I think I'm going to do is give him a green outfit, and it's going to be light green, and the stripy things will be a darker green to give it some dimension. And to help me out, I'm going to go on my Pinterest board to my Tudor clothes board, which I think is public, so anyone can see it. It might not be like the most accurate of costume boards, but gives me a good idea of this era of clothing. And there isn't any, like, I don't know that I have any pictures of green costumes, but pulling up a photo of just a guy or in this type of clothes to kind of see how the shadows go and that type of thing is sometimes useful. I definitely used it while I was drawing, and by used it I mean the board of Tudor costumes. That one's okay. It gives me a lot of ideas to see what kind of hats people had, or even what kind of hats people think of for Renaissance fairs and stuff like that, and movies. Hats and tights and shoes, all of that stuff. Okay. So here we go. So grayish green. That's kind of yellowy is what I want for the main outfit. And I'm going to do the same thing. Well, and it's really light, not a lot of paint in there. Yeah, I think this will be good. And then saving out the lights again, so maybe there's a highlight along the side of the sleeve, and also going right into the shadow that I painted earlier. See, there's a highlight along the back of the arm, and then along that ridge of the pantaloons. And I'll go right down into his tights and make them this green color. He's a coordinated fellow. And I'm going to soften this again. So it's still a little wet, hopefully wet enough. Just water on my brush. That's kind of a style choice, I guess. I always like it when people leave their watercolors with like harder lines, and then I can never get myself to do it. I always end up coming in and softening edges. Okay, I feel like that's pretty fun looking. Okay, that's gonna get a chance to dry. Let's give the rabbit some attention. We'll put it in green too, but I'm gonna give it a brighter green. Not bright bright. So that was out of the tube, and now I'm mixing it with like the grayish colors that were already on my palette. Let's kind of tone it down. And we'll do the same thing on the rabbit. Highlight on his sleeve and on his clothes. I'm gonna spray that just a bit. Yeah, so now it's gonna bleed into the shadow a little bit. Put some pink in the rabbit's ears, mostly because that's easy. I knew what to do. Okay. Let's give the fairy hair some color. Could just make it a normal color. Or we could leave it white. I like that idea. So if we're gonna paint white hair, we're gonna mostly leave it the color of the paper. Actually, just thinking, I think I'm gonna make the wings this green color. I'm adding a little more water because I want them to look transparent. And I'm going to leave some light areas on it. It will make them look a little glittery or like shiny. Okay. Okay, I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. So I'm going to set this one aside like this to dry. I don't want to do it like this because then it like apparently ruins the glue in the thing. So like this, we're off to the side. And I'm just going to grab this one, which is a number 8. Same type, silver black velvet, 8 round. It comes to a nice point, which I like, and it holds a good amount of water. Okay, so gray hair. I'm going to use that shadow color again and just basically add more shadow to it, leaving a lot of it light. That's still wet, so don't put your hand there. Just kidding. Obviously, I'm talking to myself. Okay, so around the back can be darker, more in shadow. But basically, you can see that this is like a very pale color, like almost non-existent. It's just a little tiny bit of paint and some water. And I'm gonna come on. There you go. Nice point. Just emphasize a little bit of like the shapes of the hair, the strands. So not painting every single one individually, but getting distracted by the ruffle. emphasizing some of the areas that might be in shadow. Add some of that color. So this is sort of like a mid-tone, where if this was the shadow that we painted originally, I'm painting mid-tones now, and the highlight is staying white. And that's the white hair. Hopefully you guys could see that well enough. When we go back in, probably put a background in around the face and hair. It's gonna make that look better, because it's just nice to have that contrast. Okay, so this is dry now. I'm gonna do our stripy things, and I'm gonna use that same yellow green, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of paint to it so that it's more saturated than what I originally chose. And we'll paint these saving that highlight that I put in. And I guess we'll do the stripe that's right there in the shadow too. That last one, I want it to be less emphasized. So I'm just gonna do that. That's better. So far, nothing is really all that saturated. I'm gonna do brown shoes. This is more reddish, but it's just red mixed with a little green. And the little bows on the shoes will definitely make this saturated green to match the stripes. Shoes are wet, so it's bleeding. I'm not going to worry about it. the rabbit, let's make the rabbit brown. So red and green. It's making this brown color. I guess, I mean, more or less this whole painting is just with red and green. So with the rabbit, he's furry. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. I don't want to. So the cat that found a nice spot to sit next to me is scared of sneezes. So I'm on purpose being a little dabby with my brush strokes to give it a little bit more of a furry look. Okay, so that's a pretty good base right there of colors. And I'm liking how it looks. Obviously it doesn't look finished yet. And to kind of give it a little bit of a finished look, we want to just add dark values. So everything right now is light to like light medium. And I think what I'm going to do for that is switch again to a smaller brush, setting this one aside and grabbing same kind, not size 6, size 4. So this one's tiny, silver black velvet, size 4 round. This one is actually what I use a lot for like tiny lines. So it just gets really pointy, but it still holds enough pigment so that you can do stuff. So I think we'll start with the eyes and give him some blue eyes. And I'm just gonna go right into my blue. I think this is called Winsor blue. So Winsor Newton color. And make sure my brush is nice and pointy. This is tiny. And I'm going to go in and paint them, leaving a highlight if I can. If I don't leave a highlight, I can add one later with white paint. But I don't even have white paint on my palette. I'd have to go find it and pull it out and use it. So there's the blue eyes. I'm realizing, like, with my hand in the way you can't see the camera covers it. I'll have to set that up next time different. So sorry about that, but hopefully you can see that pretty good if you have a big enough screen. And we're going to emphasize around the eyes, so the eyelash area. So we just need a dark color, and since we've just been using red and green the whole time, that's what we're going to do. That's a nice pretty brown color. And so there's a alizarin crimson, and I'm pretty sure that's hooker's green. And then again with just my brush at a really nice point, I'll try to move this so you can see. I don't know if you'll be able to see what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna do some emphasizing around that eye area. Adding a pupil. And that's going to be a useful color probably later. We will do a little bit darker color in the mouth, a little more reddish. These are tiny. I don't know if you guys can see them on the screen. I hope you can. I'm trying to decide. Those little details were fun. Let's give the green button some emphasis. I honestly am kind of fussing around as I figure out what really needs to happen to like make this pop. Okay, we'll give the bunny a little more jacket detail. I am getting some ideas. Which I think mostly it's just gonna have to go make the shadow darker. Probably. Let's do the bunny's eye. We'll just do brown, the dark brown. Give the bunny a little bit of a pink nose. Okay, one thing I do want to do is add a little detail to the ruffle. I just need to find a good photo. Here's one. So just again on my tutor Pinterest board, found a guy wearing a ruffle. And I'm just gonna look at it and guess. So I'm just mixing the colors together to make this gray. And we'll so basically it was red, blue, and green, all the primaries mixed to make a gray color. For now, I'm going to leave that. So I think I'm going to come back to it in a bit. I don't know. Did that help? It's hard to say. On the wings, I'm going to add some color. This is where they overlap each other. It looks dark, but it's going to dry lighter than that. Do a little bit of a shadow. Okay, so we need to add some detail to the wings. Okay, before I get off of the ruffle picture, I'm going to paint the rabbit's ruffle with a little more detail. And then I'm going to go find a different photo of some wings. I did not want to do that. Okay, so on my Pinterest, I have a board for this. Of course I do. It is art reference animals and then insects. I don't think insects technically fit into the animal kingdom, or do they? Are they? Anyway, that's where it is. And then I just have a bunch of bugs pinned, and I'm going to find some that have dragonfly wings and just use that as reference for this. So, looking at my photo, I'm just going to add some color to this puddle so that it's more saturated, less water, more paint. I can't remember what this green is. It's sort of a turquoisey green. Because I'm like, maybe it's Windsor green. Do I have Windsor green and Windsor blue? I don't know. Anyway. So thicker paint, basically. Not as much water. A little bit of this is gonna tone it down so that it's not too saturated. And then, just looking at my photo reference, I'm gonna add some details to the wings. But I want to leave those white areas that I left before so that they still look kind of glowy. And all of this idea is just basically coming from the picture that I'm looking at. Gives it that kind of filmy look. So I don't want to like outline the just like outline all the lines of the wings. But I do want them to show up. So it's kind of a balance between emphasizing certain areas and leaving others. This is drying so fast. Hopefully still enough paint on there to finish. Okay, I think that worked pretty good. Okay, what I think we need is a darker shadow. So I'm going to go back to my 8 brush and we're going to mix a shadow color again. So that's nice. I'm going to make it a little more blue though. Bluish, gray, green color. And I'm going to have a little bit of red. I think I'm going to use a little bit of my cadmium red. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to do what I did at the beginning. I don't know if this is dark enough. More paint. More red. So this one crimson. Cadmium red. Hooker's green. Oh yeah, I was using this one. This turquoisey green that I can't remember the name of today. And some blue. The blue that I'm using is cobalt, I think. That's a pretty green. It's too green, so I'm adding red. Now it's too red. Adding some blue. It's going to make it a little more grayish purple. Yeah. Okay, that's better. It's going to be dark. So I'm going to start with a reddish gray, the in between of those. It's gonna dry fast, so I'm gonna hurry. And I'm gonna go in basically like I did at the beginning, using a slightly smaller brush than I did then. And do the shadow, maybe with a little more detail to it. Not much though. Going on the more red side into the skin. I'm going to miss the eyebrow because of his white hair. That looks a little weird. I'm going to miss parts of the eyebrow because of his white hair. Okay, now I'm going a little more gray down into the ruffle. We'll say that it's a little bit transparent so it gets lighter over here. Because some light might be shining through. And then right into the clothes, add a little bit of green to this. Water on the brush to pull that up a bit. Down the sleeve. This cast shadow. On the hand, I'm going to go back to the reddish color, but I'm not letting it dry in between. Just going right into it. Softening. Then back to my green. It's drying too fast. The hard thing is when you mix a dark color and then you add water, it gets lighter. So down the leg into the shoe. other leg. So I'm not following the exact same place I did before. Maybe emphasizing some areas that could be darker. And into the rabbit. Soften that shadow. There's cat hair on my palette. So the whole shadow is basically connected as much as I can make it. Do a little shadow on the ear. I think that makes it pop a lot more. Let's just do a background color. Since the fairy's wearing green, I think we should we do red or blue? Or green? Could be any of them, really. Oh, thanks, Exna. I'm glad you liked the video. I don't actually get a lot of chat, so I forget to look at it, but I see your things. And if you guys have questions, we're almost done. If you have questions, I can definitely answer them. Yeah. Okay, background. Let's do a blue-green. I don't want to like get too far out of the color scheme, but I want it to be a little different. I just put and like I think it'd be nice if it looked like he is walking through a forest or something. So I don't want it to be too bright and saturated, and we'll model the color a bit, and we'll use our grays that we mixed. Everything. Okay. Not exactly sure what my plan is for this. Except I do want, yeah, okay. I want the hair to stand out, so I know I'm going to start right there and emphasize some of that. While that's wet, I'm gonna spray it, but just the outside. Just add a little blue to the mix. cover the wing spray.